Over the months, I've done some insane stuff in Honkai Star Rail. Blade actually went on and soloed every single MOC stage. So I thought, you know what, it is time we move to our next project. We'll be beating MOC 1 until 10 with Kafka, but she has no relics. Anyways, let's first go over the rules. I can only use Kafka with no relics, but that does not mean I can't use any lightcones. To pair with Kafka, I can only use 3 characters or 4-star characters. Or else I could just slap 5 stars and it would defeat the purpose. Rule number 3, I can't just use like say Dan Heng or Serval to just solo DPS with Kafka doing nothing. My team needs to have Kafka be the hyper carry. And the final rule is that I have to beat one of the stages in each floor, since well I can't use the same team for both sides. It sounds like a ridiculous challenge, but honestly, take a look at how much damage a no-relic Kafka is doing to any random mobs. So you're saying she can have no relics and still do 20,000 damage? What? This moment right here gave birth to the plan. We know that Kafka can do some damage. Her one weakness is death, so we're gonna use the unreliable Fire Trailblazer as some damage mitigation here. And it's also clear that Kafka will need support in terms of damage herself, so we're using a Tingyun as a buffer. And finally, just as a healer, of course, we got the good old Natasha. MOC 1 sees us fighting the overgrown Blueberry. I buffed Kafka with Tingyun's ult and skill, and her stats are looking like this for now. Not too shabby for a no-relic character. Absolute pile of crap for MOC. But how much will I do here? It will directly prove whether or not this challenge can be done. And here goes nothing. Boom. Okay, you know what? That is not too shabby. But the problem is this is MOC 1. I've got gosh dang 10 stages in total to beat. So it is kind of worrying. But whatever the case is, it is absolutely possible for me to win this fight in particular. So I went ahead and simply survived with Fire Trailblazer and Natasha. Buff Kafka whenever need be with Tingyun. Spam Kafka's skill and ultimate, and in the end they just fall. Same could be said with the other elite in MOC 1. We defeated them without much of an issue here. At this moment with Tingyun, I'm doing like about 10k sometimes with the skill. This is without relics, which I am impressed, though this is only MOC 1 and I don't see how I can even touch MOC 10. Now before we continue, I thought it'd be better if I showed every stats. We got Kafka with nothing in terms of relics here. She does have her own lightcone, which I believe is the only one that you have to use if you want to make this work. And you might think I'm getting hard carried by everyone else, but look at my Tingyun. I have 2 + 0 relics on her, and only 1 + 15. The rest are like +12 +9. Same with my Trailblazer. These are not insane investments. And then with Natasha, which I don't think it's a lot of investment either. So rest assured, this is not something you have to hyper invest on everyone else just to make Kafka work. I kind of just throw in whatever the hell I had. And then we move on to MOC 2. Can 0 relics Kafka defeat the child of the Hulk and a horse? There's a pretty obvious gauge that I can tell whether or not I'll have a good time or not. And it's usually when Tingyun just buffs Kafka with everything and she nukes. In this stage, Kafka is able to do 34,000 damage on the first ult here. Pretty much one-shotting all the mobs. She has no relics. What? Again, this is only MOC 2, but it's still ridiculous to think about. Someone with no gear whatsoever, just by her kit alone, is able to do this much. Some fully geared character might not even touch this number. And with a few boom booms from Kafka's ulti, we are able to destroy MOC 2 with 0 problems, man. Everything is smooth sailing right now, and we see MOC 3, and our enemies are Bronya and her tier 3 subscriber. Okay, we're just gonna do the damage test real quick. And that wasn't even buffed with Tingyun's ult, because I tried to save her freaking energy recharge thingy. Honestly, again, this is only MOC 3, so it's not that difficult considering I'm dunking like 30k and ult. So we are defeating both of them. And you might be wondering, things might take a long while for a team like this to work, but not even. We cleared it in like 5 cycles, dude. A no-relic Kafka clearing in 5 cycles. I don't know, man. Something about the power balance in this game is not quite right. Although you're looking at me destroying MOC 3 up till now, there is a jeopardy here that we can already see. I got greedy and I tried to have Kafka take a hit from Bronya's tier 3 subscriber. And let's just say, if she gets hit, she ain't gonna be taking another hit anytime soon. Then came MOC 4. We're fighting the enemies that the developers have designed to just die. Because they're weak to lightning and pretty much anything that you would have in your account, they're probably weak against. And in this stage, it's actually probably the easiest fight of the entire run. I'll show you what happens when a no-relic Kafka is able to break the enemy. Jingren is actually in shambles. And as you can probably tell, I did not struggle whatsoever for this stage as well. And again, you might think it takes a long time to beat this, but no, we actually still cleared in a relatively fast speed. And I'm also using Martrish again. Similarly, I don't have a lot of investment into it, so it's like a very casual team, and I just slapped a no-gear Kafka on, and it still worked out relatively quickly. If you let that sink in, that is ridiculous. This character is not okay. MOC5 sees us fighting apart, and let's just say it was not an electrifying battle. It was kind of just purely a Kafka massacre. And then we moved to MOC6, which is probably my favorite stage by far because we get to beat up Yancheng. It's been beaten up by practically every single character, good or bad, in the lore. He no longer has anything to lose, dude. And luckily for me, he's also weak to lightning, which is what Kafka capitalized on and destroyed Yancheng. Although I say destroyed, the rate of which Kafka is killing the boss is significantly slower now. And we can definitely see a sharp increase in damage output for the enemies. Honestly, for my team that's pretty much half bait all around, this is where it started to get tough. Although I say that, we still managed to defeat MOC6 without too much of a problem. We didn't really lose anyone or like got close to dying or anything like that. And that is plus one occasion where Yancheng got pummeled. I can definitely feel the struggle now, but honestly, it took 7 stages of MOC to even feel the struggle with a no-relic Kafka. It's kind of ridiculous. But yet again, we're facing the same enemies that we faced before, the robots that are born to die because they're weak to lightning and practically everything under the sun. We're able to defeat them, but at this moment in time, I'm pretty convinced if any one of the robots explode at me, I will get one shot, at least for Kafka. And at this point, even though they're weak against lightning, and even though I have no relics on Kafka, I'm actually not clearing it too slowly either. It's MOC7, and I'm still clearing it pretty quick. At least it's still on track for a 3-star clear. That is just mind-blowing, man. But guys, consider what you just watched, the prelude to death, because we have MOC stage 8 next, and we are facing the monkey. If you don't know how this monkey works, if you're using a skill, he's gonna target you and probably will one-shot you if you're using a no-relic Kafka. So no matter how I look at it, there's no way I'm beating the monkey. I could beat the rock guy in the bottom, but that's no fun. We're beating the monkey. I did use Asta for this one, which is the highest investment I've put in any of my characters, I believe, in this run. And even then, it's not like I'm pulling up with like a full plus 15 relic Asta, right? But either way, our first challenge sees us fight the first ape. The only way I'm gonna defeat the ape without taking any risk is to avoid Kafka from dying. It's pretty obvious, I know. And the only way to do that is to not use Kafka's skill. But if Kafka doesn't use her skill, how can I do damage? The answer is that I have to break the malefic ape, and during the turn where I break him, I am free to use Kafka's skill. And as I break the malefic ape with, say, my fire characters, I'm gonna land a burn on them. This burn actually acts as a dot as well, which Kafka will be able to activate. And that basically means more damage with Kafka. So basically all I had to do is to repeat this process again and again, only using Fire Trailblazer's skill to bait the monkey to only hitting the Fire MC. And we can definitely feel the spike in difficulty as we are not defeating this monkey anytime soon. But in the end, with preservation, we are able to do it. But that's not even the final wave. We're facing Stone Cold, guys. And this guy has the ability to freeze me. But thankfully, the free healer that you get has a cleanse. And the touch ability to cleanse is definitely a safety button that I can rely on. But honestly, for this fight, I don't know if I'm just lucky or anything, but the freeze didn't really affect me that much. All I had to do was to ignore the Stone Cold guy because he doesn't really do that much damage. All he does is freezes you. Force the monkey to only hit the Fire MC by baiting him with Fire MC's E. And during the break turn, Kafka will be able to use her skill, and otherwise she will be spamming her ult or basic. And just by repeating that, we are able to beat one of the most frustrating enemies to go against, the gosh dang Harambe, without a single relic on Kafka, guys. But we finally see now that at MOC 8, we can no longer screw around. Any misstep could mean that I die. Although this challenge feels daunting, I decided to steel myself and go into MOC 9. Not Kafka, not... Oh, come on, really? Don't hit her, don't hit her, you stupid crud. Surely you don't grab me twice. Are you crazy right now? Why do they keep targeting Kafka? Yes, guys, MOC 9, we're facing Svarog, which you would think might be easy because they're weak to practically a lot of the elements that I have in my team, but the hands kept touching my mom. This was a very RNG-reliant fight because the hands itself can only be broken by lightning element. I do have 2 of them, but if they snatch away Kafka, I can only use Tingyun to break the hands. And by the time I break the hand with Tingyun, Kafka might already be dead. All I need to do is to not have Kafka get targeted and I'll be fine. but they just kept grabbing Kafka. But wouldn't you know it, this No-relic Kafka team is still able to pull the win off. It took quite a long time because, well, our damage is practically non-existent. And we also had like the worst RNG in this run where they grabbed Kafka twice, but we still pulled through with good healing timing and everything, and we're able to have a hyper carry 0-relic Kafka beating Svarog at MOC 9. And finally, it is the moment of truth, MOC 10. Ladies and gentlemen, Kafka with 0 relics, Memory of Chaos 1 till 10. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you think, especially about the intro, because I'm trying to cook something a bit different in style. But yes, guys, take care.